issue about autism is the MMR inoculations, or the measles, mumps and rubella.
Which brings us to vaccines.
Yeah, vaccines. Yeah, vaccines. So some scientists say that giving a young baby at the age of 18 months this vaccine, a triple dose, for mumps, measles and rubella is too much for the system to take.
But is that conclusive?
No, that is not conclusive. In actual fact, scientists have found to say that it's not true. But I have to tell you, for my third baby born a year and a half ago, I didn't give him MMR. Call me an irresponsible mother, but it's too scary because autism is too big a burden, really. I love my child, but I wouldn't wish autism on my worst enemy. My worst enemy, really.
I think what we could do is, like, instead of taking the 3 in one shot, why take the risk? Why don't you do it individually? The jury is still out on whether it is a cause or not. But if I'm a very responsible parent, I don't think I want to take the risk. The doctors doesn't seem to see it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but as a parent, when you
have gone through it,
I don't think you want to take the risk.
Doctor, going back to you with regards to your son, suffering, who has this condition called echolalia. Can you tell us a little bit?
No, my son does not have echolalia, sorry.
Yeah.
My son has hyperacusis. That means he has really hypersensitive hearing. So most of the time, he would have his 2 fingers in his ears and he would be humming. He would be going, He's trying to block external noise because he find the external noise too
jarring to the
ears, too loud. For example, the air conditioning in this room, to us it's just a hum. It doesn't disturb us, but to him it's a really loud noise.
Thunderous sound.
That is part of the sensory issues. So when children with autism have sensory issues, it could be their hearing, it could be the touch, it could be the smell, and it could be the vision too. For example, I've read a book written by a young man with autism, and he says that he cannot go into a room where there is stripy wallpaper because he feels as if the stripes are jumping out to get him. So these are the sensory issues that make them behave.
You have to identify the sensory issues within your child.
Yes. The thing is, when children with autism misbehave, they say, oh, children with autism are all naughty, are all hyperactive. But it's because of the sensory issues. And it's quite a new idea in Malaysia, and people find it quite difficult to understand. But it is something that we can work on. For example, my son, before, if we take him to a crowded mall, he will be jumping around, he'll be restless, he'll be wanting to run around. So it's the sound from the people in the mall, from the PA system. Yes. So what we did is we bought him an iPod. So we play him soothing music like lullabies and nasheed. He especially like nasheed. So we put the iPod on him, and he can go through our shopping without any problem. The thing is, identify what it is that your son needs, and giving him what he needs.
So if you think your child has developed autism, what you need to focus on is identifying the sensory problems within the child.
Well, sensory has got two issues to it. One is a hypersensitivity. The other is the hypo, where they are in need of that kind of stimulation. Like for my son, he needs a lot of massage. And then that will help to soothe him down, to calm him down. So you are looking, when you talk about autism, especially on sensory, it's either hyper sensitivity or hyposensitivity, lack of sensitivity. So that also manifests in children with autism.
So let me talk about early intervention. Now, when we know that the research on what causes autism, they're still inconclusive. But one thing that they are very, very certain that they have found based on a lot of scientific research is that the one thing that helps children with autism is early intervention. Intervene early. Help as early as possible. Now, in order to provide early intervention, early identification is very important. Now, in Malaysia, we don't have a screening system. That is one of what I'm hoping to establish in Malaysia, part of my research, a screening system to identify children with autism and also children with other social emotional issues. And the thing is, in the US, they have developed, they have a lot of experts and they have developed a lot of methods. And in the US, a child with autism can be identified as early as 12 months and 18 months. In Malaysia, what we're seeing is that children are identified or diagnosed with autism at around about the age of 36 months or 3 years. And it still is a bit too late, but still you have 4 years before the child go to school. In that 4 years, there's so much you can do. There's so much you can do. You can get the child to be toilet trained. You can get the child to calm down from the hyperactivityness. There's a lot of things that can be done.
Right. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to find out more about PR4A and what autism is right here on Trax 101.
PR4A is a registered society set up by a group of parents having kids with autism and related disorders, with the common objective of sourcing for the latest and most successful method for the treatment of autism to help achieve their best potential. To find out more, log on to www.pr4a.org.
Trax 101.
Trax 101 on a Monday morning, and we're talking about autism, getting to know a little bit more about what autism is. And in the studios with us this morning we have Dr. Hasnah Toran, who's a senior lecturer at University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and she also has a PhD in early intervention, autism and assessment. And from the Persatuan Sumber Autisma Ibu Bapa Malaysia, also known as the Parents Resource for Autism Malaysia, we have Mr. Lim Kun Chuan. Going back to where we left off, right? Looking at the whole problem now, looking at the lack of development in terms of learning more about autism in Malaysia, where should we start? Where can we begin, Doctor?
Well, we parents, we have been talking for ages and ages about how frustrated we are that there's not enough services. And I told my other parents, there's a saying in English that the squeakiest wheel get oiled. We have to get our voice heard, and we need the support of the Malaysian society to highlight it to the government that more need to be done for our children, really. Yeah.
Speaking on that, some time ago, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, on the invitation of Suhakam, we actually went to have one of these talks. Suhakam actually is trying to look into the rights of the special need kids.
For education.
And we found out that actually the 3 most important departments that should actually be working hand in hand are actually social welfare, education and health. But unfortunately, they are not really coordinating with one another. Like health, they'll say, okay, this is what your kid has. But they'll stop there. They won't say, look, I will do a referral to education so that they can take it up from there.
For children with disabilities,
It's very easy for us to say that, these three departments should amalgamate at some point and have a working relationship. But how is that done? How do you intertwine all
Well,
this?
look at it in the US. Yeah.
In the US, special education is very much dealt by the education people. So therefore, what we do over there, what they do is that they have school psychologists, they have therapists, and they have autism experts in school as the education employers. But over here, when we produce therapies, most of them will be working with hospital and clinics. But if you think again, mothers don't have time to be driving to hospitals and clinics, spend 45 minutes in the traffic jam for 30 minutes of treatment at the clinic or at the hospital. But what we really want to do is for the kids to go for early intervention treatments in school base, in center base, and for the experts to be there, so that parents don't have to drive to 3 different clinics for speech therapy, physical therapy, and occupational therapies.
But what about the PR4A? Are you setting up something like that?
Well,